Welcome to our deep dive on Bauhaus. Going through all this material, you sent wow articles, historical pieces, even some artist bios. It's amazing how much Bauhaus is all around us without us even realizing it.
It really is.
So are you ready to kind of uncover some of the secrets behind this movement?
Absolutely. I think what's so captivating about Bauhaus is it wasn't simply a design school. It was this radical social experiment born from the ashes of World War I, really trying to build a new world, a total work of art, blending art and design and technology for the betterment of society.
That name Bauhaus, building house.
Yeah.
It always makes me think of construction. But I'm sensing here it's about building something much, much bigger. Right?
Exactly. You hit the nail on the head. It's about constructing a new way of living, this harmonious fusion of art and functionality.
Yeah.
Think furniture, textiles, posters, even teapots. They wanted to revolutionize it all.
Oh, yeah. One source even mentioned a beautiful silver and ebony teapot by Marianne Brandt.
No.
But it wasn't just about aesthetics, was it?
No.
This feels like they were tapping into something deeper.
Absolutely. They had this core belief that good design should be accessible to everyone, not just the elite.
Right.
Form follows function was like their mantra.
Right.
This really revolutionary idea at the time that challenged the traditional hierarchy of art.
So how did they kind of put this radical idea into practice?
Well, they started with this back to basics philosophy,
Okay.
emphasizing the study of materials and the nature of objects. So instead of those stuffy lectures, students learned by doing.
Yeah.
Hands-on in workshops, exploring those inherent qualities of materials like wood and metal and textiles.
Yeah, I read a quote from Gropius. He said, "An object is defined by its nature. In order to design it to function properly, one must first of all study its nature." That's a powerful concept. So they weren't just copying old styles. They were trying to understand, like, the essence of things, right?
Precisely.
Yeah.
And that's where that true innovation stemmed from.
Yeah.
From understanding the fundamental properties of materials and how they could be used to create both functional and beautiful objects.
And they had some incredible innovators come out of the Bauhaus, didn't they? I mean, the sources mentioned Marcel Breuer, who designed the iconic Seska chair. I even read that he believed that chairs would become obsolete.
Yes. I mean, he envisioned us all being supported by columns or even air.
Wow.
Talk about forward thinking.
Yeah, really.
And then you have someone like Annie Albers, the textile artist.
Yeah.
She really pushed the boundaries of her craft.
The sources mention her using materials like cellophane and fiberglass, which, thinking about it, why were those choices so innovative for the time?
Well, at the time, these materials were considered industrial,
Yeah.
Unconventional to use in art. But Albers saw their potential for texture, for light, for strength, reflecting that Bauhaus ethos of embracing new technology and challenging those traditional artistic norms.
It's amazing to think that one school could produce so many revolutionary thinkers.
It is.
Speaking of influential figures, can't forget Paul Klee, the painter and teacher.
Right. Klee's theories on color and abstraction were just pivotal to the Bauhaus aesthetic. I mean, his teachings had a profound impact on generations of artists and designers, shaping their understanding of form, composition, and the expressive power of color.
And then, of course, there's Ludwig Mies van der Rohe, the last director, who brought less is more to the world.
Yeah, I mean, Mies van der Rohe played a crucial role in bringing Bauhaus principles to the United States. I mean, his minimalist architecture, with its emphasis on clean lines and open spaces, continues to influence building design even today.
It's incredible how one movement sparked so much innovation in such a short span of time. But the path of the Bauhaus wasn't always smooth, was it?
Oh, not at all. No, the Bauhaus faced constant political and financial pressure, ultimately leading to their closure by the Nazis in 1933.
We know that the Nazis hated Bauhaus, but why?
Yeah.
What threatened them so much about this group of artists and designers?
It's a great question. And, one source even used the term cultural Bolshevism to describe how the Nazis viewed the Bauhaus.
Wow, that sounds pretty serious.
Right.
What do they even mean by that?
Well, for the Nazis, cultural Bolshevism was kind of a way to discredit any art or cultural movement that didn't align with their ideology.
Okay.
To them, the Bauhaus, with its internationalism, its modernism, and its focus on social equality, represented a dangerous threat.
So the Bauhaus wasn't just shut down for its aesthetics.
Oh,
it was seen as a political enemy.
Exactly.
It really highlights the power of art and design
Right.
to challenge the status quo, even if it faces opposition.
It does, and ironically, the persecution of the Bauhaus actually helped spread its influence globally.
Really?
Yes. As key figures like Gropius and Mies van der Rohe fled Germany, they established schools and studios abroad, taking that Bauhaus philosophy with them.
So it's almost as if by trying to extinguish the movement, they only fanned the flames.
Exactly.
So from its humble beginnings in Weimar, the Bauhaus went global. But what's truly fascinating is how its influence seeped into everyday life, often without us even realizing it.
That's the most fascinating part, wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely. I mean, from the furniture we sit on to the websites we browse, the Bauhaus aesthetic is everywhere. We'll delve into that more later.
Yeah.
For now, I think let's shift gears and explore some of the specific people who made the Bauhaus such a force.
Okay.
This is where it gets really interesting.
It's amazing how they each brought their own kind of unique perspective to the Bauhaus.
Yeah.
Yet their work still felt unified by this shared vision. You know what I mean?
It's like they were all playing different instruments, but somehow creating this harmonious symphony.
Exactly. Exactly.
So let's talk about some of those instruments, those fascinating individuals. We touched on Marcel Breuer and his, revolutionary furniture designs.
Breuer's work, it was a perfect embodiment of form follows function.
Right.
Take his Wassley chair,
Yeah.
inspired by the handlebars of his bicycle.
Right.
It was revolutionary.
Yeah.
Made entirely of tubular steel, lightweight, yet sturdy.
Imagine the audacity to bring industrial materials into the home like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it challenged the very notion of what furniture could be.
Right.
And the sources also mentioned Annie Albers.
Yeah.
Talk about breaking new ground with textiles.
Albers, she believed that textiles weren't just about decoration,
Okay.
but about spatial relationships and this interplay of light and texture. She saw weaving as a form of art and architecture, even incorporating unconventional materials like cellophane and metallic threads.
It's fascinating how she pushed the boundaries of what we think of as craft, traditionally.
Yeah.
So we've got Breuer's innovating with furniture, Albers revolutionizing textiles, all under this Bauhaus umbrella. I mean, it really speaks to the movement's breadth and depth.
It does. It does.
But it wasn't just about the objects they created, was it?
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
The Bauhaus was also like a hotbed of intellectual thought.
Right.
Take Paul Klee, for instance.
Yeah.
I mean, his teachings went way beyond just technique. He encouraged students to think about the emotional and spiritual power of art, exploring abstract concepts like color theory and the language of form.
I came across one of his quotes. He said, "Art does not reproduce the visible, rather it makes visible."
Mm-hmm.
That really resonates with me. It's
Yeah.
like he was saying art isn't just about mimicking reality. It's about, revealing the hidden truths beneath the surface.
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, Klee's influence on the Bauhaus it's undeniable.
Yeah.
His lectures, his writings helped to shape their approach to color, composition, and that expressive power of abstract forms.
And, of course, we had Ludwig Mies van der Rohe, the architect who championed less is more.
Right.
I recently visited the Barcelona Pavilion, one of his iconic designs.
Oh, wow.
It's incredible how he achieved such a sense of spaciousness and elegance with such minimal elements.
Mies van der Rohe, he was a master of minimalism. He believed that architecture should be stripped down to its essential elements, light, space, materials, allowing the building itself to speak.
I think what fascinates me about the Bauhaus is how it went beyond just aesthetics. It was so deeply entwined with social ideals.
Yes.
I mean, they believed that good design could improve people's lives and make the world a better place.
Absolutely. That social conscience is really what set them apart. They aim to create affordable, functional designs for the masses, not just those luxury items for the elite.
Yeah.
I mean, they even experimented with prefabricated housing, hoping to address the post-war housing shortage.
That's a connection I hadn't really made before. It puts their form follows function philosophy into a new light.
Yep.
It wasn't just about aesthetics. It was about, solving real-world problems and creating a more equitable society.
Precisely. The Bauhaus believed that design was this powerful tool for social change. And their influence continues to be felt today, not just in the objects around us, but in how we approach design thinking and problem solving.
While we're talking about their lasting influence, one question that keeps popping into my head is, in the sources you provided, there's a lot about how Bauhaus shaped art, architecture, everyday objects.
Yeah.
But what about technology?
Oh,
Was there a connection there too?
well, that's a fascinating question. Remember, the Bauhaus emerged during a time of rapid technological advancement. I
Right.
mean, cars, airplanes, electricity,
Yeah.
all of these were transforming
Yeah.
society. And the Bauhaus embraced this new era, seeing technology as a potential force for good.
So how did that translate into their work?
Well, I mean, they experimented with new materials, incorporated industrial processes into their designs, and explored how technology could be used to improve people's lives.
Hmm.
They even had a dedicated photography department recognizing the power of this new medium to document and communicate ideas.
I mean, that makes sense. I mean, photography was a revolutionary technology at the time,
It was.
capturing reality in a way that had never been possible before.
Exactly. It allowed them to document their experiments, share their ideas with a wider audience, and even create art in its own right.
Right.
I mean, Laszlo Moholy-Nagy, a key figure in the Bauhaus photography department, he saw photography as a tool for seeing the world anew, exploring new perspectives and challenging those traditional ways of perceiving reality.
So it wasn't just about using technology for practical purposes, but also for expanding those artistic possibilities. It's like they saw technology as just another tool in their creative arsenal alongside paintbrushes and chisels.
Exactly. And this embrace of technology, this
Hmm.
willingness to experiment and push boundaries, this is a key part of what makes the Bauhaus so relevant to us today. I
Right.
mean, we live in a world where technology is constantly evolving, shaping every aspect of our lives.
That's so true. We're surrounded by digital devices, algorithms, virtual realities.
Yeah.
It's almost like we're living in a Bauhaus world without even realizing it.
It is. It is.
But it makes you wonder, are we using technology in a way that aligns with the Bauhaus vision?
That's the question, isn't it? Are we using technology to create a better world,
Yeah.
a more just and equitable society, or are we letting it control us, divide us, and exacerbate existing inequalities?
Mm. It's a thought-provoking challenge. I mean, just look at our smartphones.
Right.
They're designed to be addictive,
Yeah.
constantly vying for our attention. It's a far cry from the Bauhaus ideals of simplicity, functionality, social responsibility.
You raise a really valid point. The Bauhaus believed that technology should serve humanity, not the other way around.
All right.
And that's something that we need to keep in mind as we navigate this increasingly digital world.
It's like they're urging us to be more mindful,
Yeah.
more critical, more intentional about how we design and use technology.
Precisely. The Bauhaus legacy, it isn't just about beautiful objects. It's about a way of thinking,
Yeah?
a way of approaching the world with a critical eye and a commitment to making it a better place.
And that's a message that resonates really deeply, especially in our current technological landscape. As we're talking about this, I'm reminded of something else from the sources that you provided.
Oh, okay. What's that?
The Bauhaus, it wasn't just a school.
Right.
It was a community, a place where artists, designers, and intellectuals from all over the world came together to share ideas, collaborate, and push the boundaries of creativity.
It's a crucial aspect that often gets overlooked, isn't it?
Yeah.
Think about it. After the devastation of World War I, here was this group committed to rebuilding through art and design, forging connections across disciplines and
It
nationalities.
was like a microcosm of the world that they hoped to create, a world united by creativity and a shared belief in the power of design to make a difference.
That's a beautiful way to put it. And it raises such a vital question for us today. How can we foster that same spirit of collaboration and community in our own lives and work?
Especially in a world that often feels increasingly divided and polarized.
Exactly. The Bauhaus reminds us that creativity thrives in environments where diverse perspectives are welcomed, where
Right.
collaboration is encouraged, and where the focus is on creating something bigger than ourselves.
It's a powerful message. So we've talked about the key figures, the Bauhaus's approach to technology, their social ideals, their sense of community. But I'm curious to explore something else from the sources you gave me. The movement's evolution. They didn't just spring up fully formed, did they?
Oh, not at all.
Yeah.
No, the Bauhaus, it was constantly evolving, adapting to new challenges and influences.
Yeah.
It went through 3 distinct phases, each marked by a different director and a shift in focus.
Let's dive into that. Tell me more about these different phases and how they shape the Bauhaus legacy.
Okay, well, the first phase under Walter Gropius in Weimar was all about laying the foundation.
Yeah.
It was a time of intense experimentation and exploration as they tried to define what the Bauhaus was all about.
It's like they were throwing everything at the wall and seeing what stuck.
Exactly. They were drawing inspiration from a wide range of sources, from traditional crafts to those avant-garde art movements, trying to forge a new path that
Hmm.
blended art, craft, and technology.
And this was during a time of immense social and political upheaval in Germany, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
The aftermath of World War I, the rise of new ideologies,
Yeah.
economic instability.
Yeah, and all of that fed into the Bauhaus's development.
Right.
They weren't operating in a vacuum. They were responding to the challenges and anxieties of their time, seeking to create a new vision for the future.
It's amazing how they managed to be so creative and productive in the midst of such turmoil.
It is. It speaks to their commitment, their passion, their belief in the power of art and design to make a difference.
Yeah.
But as you know, that political climate in Weimar, it became increasingly hostile towards the Bauhaus,
Yeah.
forcing them to relocate to Dessau in 1925.
And that marked the beginning of their second phase.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this phase under Hannes Meyer saw a shift towards a more functionalist approach.
Okay.
They focused on designing for mass production, using industrial materials and techniques to create affordable and practical products.
So they were becoming even more socially conscious, trying to address the needs of everyday people.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. They were concerned with housing, with furniture, everyday objects, things that could improve the lives of the working class.
It's fascinating how their vision evolved to meet the demands of the time.
Yeah.
But then they had to relocate again, didn't they?
They did.
This time to Berlin.
Yes, yes. And this final phase under Ludwig Mies van Barrow was marked by a more streamlined, minimalist aesthetic.
Good.
Mies van der Rohe, he believed in reducing design to its essential elements, emphasizing clarity, simplicity, and functionality.
It's like each director brought their own kind of unique flavor to the Bauhaus mix, while still building it on the foundation laid by Gropius.
Exactly. Each phase had its own distinct character, reflecting the changing times and the evolving vision of the Bauhaus leadership. But throughout it all, there was this underlying commitment to innovation, to social responsibility, and that power of design to shape a better world.
And ultimately, that's what defines the Bauhaus legacy, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. It's not just about a particular style or a period. It's about a way of thinking,
Hmm.
a way of approaching the world with creativity, curiosity, and a commitment to making it a better place.
Yeah.
And that's something that transcends time and place.
We've covered so much ground, but I feel like we've only scratched the surface.
We have.
There's still so much to explore.
That's the beauty of the Bauhaus, isn't it? It's a never-ending source of inspiration and provocation.
It makes you wonder, what would the Bauhaus look like today? How would they respond to the challenges and opportunities of our time? We've talked about technology, but what about climate change, social inequality, the rise of artificial intelligence?
Those are great questions, and I think the Bauhaus legacy can provide some valuable insights as we grapple with these complex issues.
It encourages us to think critically, to challenge assumptions, to experiment with new approaches, and to use design as a tool for positive change.
Exactly. The Bauhaus reminds us that we have the power to shape the future, to create a world that is more just, more sustainable, and more beautiful.
And that's a powerful message, a call to action for all of us. So as we continue to explore the Bauhaus legacy, let's keep that message in mind.
Yes, let's use their example to inspire us to be more creative, more courageous, and more committed to building a better world.
We've talked a lot about the big ideas and the global impact of the Bauhaus, but I want to kind of bring it back to something more personal, something closer to home.
I like where you're going with this.
Think about your own life, your everyday surroundings.
Yeah.
How has the Bauhaus influenced the way you live, work, and interact with the world?
That's a great question. Let's explore that further. It is easy to think of Bauhaus as this sort of grand movement, But its influence is also deeply personal. You mentioned everyday surroundings.
Yeah, exactly. Like, take a moment, look around your own home. Do you see any Bauhaus influences in your furniture, your decor, the way your space is organized?
Oh, you might be surprised by how much you find. Maybe it's a simple chair with clean lines and a focus on functionality,
Yep.
or perhaps it's a poster with bold typography and abstract
You
shapes.
know what? I've got a lamp that's a dead ringer for the Wagenfeld lamp,
Oh, wow.
a classic Bauhaus design, and I never even thought of it that way before.
Yeah,
But it's more than just those individual objects, isn't it?
absolutely. The Bauhaus philosophy can also be seen in the way we approach space and organization.
All right.
That emphasis on clarity,
Yeah.
simplicity, and functionality. It can extend to how we arrange our furniture, declutter our homes, even organize our digital files.
It's like they're whispering in our ear, less is more.
Exactly, exactly. And it's not just about aesthetics. It's about creating a space that supports our well-being, promotes efficiency, and reflects our values. A space that feels harmonious and balanced.
As we're talking about this, I'm realizing that the Bauhaus influence, it goes even deeper than just the physical objects around us.
Yeah.
It's also shaped the way we think about creativity and problem solving.
Now you're getting to the heart of it.
Mhm.
You see, the Bauhaus legacy, it isn't just about a particular style, it's about a mindset.
Hmm.
It's about approaching challenges with curiosity, with experimentation, and a willingness to break with tradition.
It's about seeing the world with fresh eyes
Yeah.
and asking what if?
Yeah.
What if we could use design to solve those social problems?
Yeah.
What if we could create technology that truly serves humanity? What if we could build a world that is both beautiful and just?
I mean, those are the questions that the Bauhaus continues to ask us, even a century later. And I think those questions are more relevant than ever in our complex and rapidly changing world.
In preparing for this deep dive, I came across a quote from Walter Gropius that really stuck with me.
Oh, yeah.
He said, "Let us create a new guild of craftsmen, without the class distinctions that raise an arrogant barrier between craftsman and artist."
That's such a powerful statement. It really encapsulates that Bauhaus vision of breaking down hierarchies, celebrating craftsmanship, and fostering collaboration between those different disciplines.
And it challenges us to think differently about the value of creative work, recognizing the artistry in everyday objects and the power of collaboration to drive innovation. It's a message that resonates deeply in today's world, where we're seeing a resurgence of interest in craft and DIY culture and in the maker movement.
That's a great observation. It's like that Bauhaus spirit is being rekindled for a new generation,
Yeah.
finding expression in new forms and technologies, and I think that's really exciting.
It is. It suggests that the Bauhaus legacy, it's not static. It's a living, breathing thing that continues to evolve and inspire. But it also reminds us that we have a responsibility to carry that torch forward,
Right.
to apply those principles of innovation, social responsibility, and creative collaboration to the challenges of our time.
I couldn't have said it better myself. So as we wrap up this deep dive into the Bauhaus, I hope you've gained a new appreciation for this remarkable movement and its enduring impact on our world.
Yeah, it's been an incredible journey. We've explored its history, its key figures, its philosophy, its aesthetic, and its lasting legacy. But more importantly, I hope it's sparked your curiosity
Yes.
and inspired you to see the world with fresh eyes.
Remember, the Bauhaus is more than just a chapter in art history. It's a way of thinking, a way of being, a way of approaching the world with creativity, with courage, and a commitment to making it a better place.
So as you go about your day, keep those Bauhaus principles in mind. Look for them in the objects around you, the spaces you inhabit, the way you approach problems, and most importantly, use them to fuel your own creativity and make your own unique contribution to the world.
You got it. That's the true legacy of the Bauhaus, to inspire each of us to be a builder in our own way, shaping a future that is more beautiful, more functional, and more just. Thanks for joining us on this Bauhaus deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring, keep creating, and keep building a better world.